This is Haystack Help Radio on KLZ 560 The Source. Haystack Help Radio is powered by HaystackHelp.com. Finding help can be like finding a needle in a haystack, but with HaystackHelp.com, finding the needle just got a lot easier.
Good afternoon and welcome to Haystack Help Radio. My name is Scott Watley. Our number is 303-477-5600. We would love to help you in any way that we can. Check out our website, HaystackHelp.com. You'll find great companies there that we have done thorough background checks on. We also have a help box. You can send us any questions or problems, maybe a topic for the show. And I promise you, if you send us a question or problem, we will get back to you. We also have a helpline available, 303-333-HELP. That's 303-333-4357. You can call that anytime, but hopefully you'll give us a call today, and we'd love to hear from you any way we can help you. Well, as always, our guest on Monday afternoons, Molly Jansen. Molly, how are you?
I'm wonderful. How are you? How's your holiday?
Same to you. Did you have a good Thanksgiving?
You know, I did. I drove all the way to Nevada. My dad moved from San Diego to right outside of Las Vegas. No, not to the Strip. And spent the week there, and it was exciting. But I can't stand road trips, so I'm glad to be out of the car.
Well, good for you. Good for you.
Yeah, lovely.
Yes, it was beautiful weather here too. Man, it was awesome Thanksgiving.
Oh, see, I missed all that.
Yeah.
I was sitting in Nevada, and it was pretty decent actually. It was, besides the loss of money that occurs when you're there, it was nice. But I did hear you guys have some pretty nice weather here.
Right, yeah, well, it was. Molly is with her own firm, Jansen Legal. Her website is jansenlegal.com. Located downtown, and her office handles any and everything to do with criminal law. The thing we seem to focus on most here is DUI, and boy, we are in that season right now, Molly.
Oh my gosh, it's insane. But before I want to get into that, which actually kind of piggybacks it, is my Facebook page is Jansen Legal, PC, and it's all one word. So for everybody out there, I do post a bunch of information about what's happening, particularly with what your rights are, what you should and should not do if you're contacted for a DUI. I also post all of the DUI checkpoints. I get about an hour to an hour and a half notice before those are launched. But I also put up information such as right now, this evening, is the big final vote on whether they're going to make smoking marijuana on private property, if that's going to be banned, which has sort of been a big debate that's been going on for a while. As I mentioned a couple weeks ago, they had the debate. They postponed the vote. They had another debate, and now here tonight is the final debate and big vote that's going to be happening. So you might want to watch out for that and see what's going on, but I'll also post what I figure out and what I'm updated on my Facebook as well as things are progressing. But that also, the marijuana goes into driving under the influence of drugs or alcohol, and so we can certainly talk about that as well. But I just want to let everyone know that it's a big vote for the evening. Okay.
Are we like the only state going through all these marijuana-type deals?
Yes,
it seems like that.
Well, there are a couple of other states with municipalities where you can smoke pot and whatnot, but we're really like the only Amsterdam that's out there. So we're kind of paving the way. And it's complicated because, now we're getting into some pretty serious issues like with this ban that they're talking about. They're really, and I was listening to a show on 760 this morning where James Mejia was taking callers and talking about the debate this evening. And one of the callers, chimed in and is dead on, is they're looking to redefine what's privacy, what's private. And that's a serious issue to get into, and so I'm hoping that they're going to be very careful because what they bring down really can affect people's, personal rights that have long been established under the Supreme Court and the Constitution. So,
right.
That's an issue. But, it's certainly really interesting because we are now going to be able in January to walk into a store and buy marijuana, which creates its own issues. I mean, I've got 3 kids, and I'm not sure how I'm supposed to, go through that discussion with them. Don't do drugs except for when you go to 7-Eleven. Yeah. That's lovely. But also, the drinking or the driving and what that statute's going to look like and what the Department of motor vehicle consequences are going to be. It's really complicated, and it's, I'm not sure they really thought this through when they slapped this bad boy on the Constitution.
Right.
So great, we all have the right to smoke pot, but what beyond your stoned moment of, oh, isn't this fabulous, it affects, the trickle-down effect is just astronomical. And it's confusing for our state, so who knows what's going to happen, but it's not looking so good.
Right. Are you doing a ventriloquism act there, Molly? Are you coughing and talking?
Well, I will tell you that I'm not in studio today because I'm amazing, and I have a child in my car who's coughing. So
I was like,
listeners, if you see me on the road, you can probably yeah.
No, and you mentioned the lawmakers when they make these laws. I mean, same thing with the gun laws and all the things. At least from my perspective, in my opinion, they don't think a lot of these things out, I think.
Well, and the other thing is it's not so much the lawmakers in this one because the people had to vote this constitutional amendment on.
That's
true.
And,
so I think, you've got two different sort of spectrums happening. You've got the people who really legitimately need to smoke marijuana for medicinal purposes. And then you've got the I just want to smoke pot because it's fabulous and I live in a tree and whatever, and the sort of in-betweeners. And those people I don't think are thinking about some of the other consequences that come with that. Like, you can't smoke pot and drive. You're putting the entire community at risk, just like drunk drivers.
Mm-hmm.
You can't walk down the street and smoke pot no more than you can have an open container. So why there's this distinction of people saying, oh, well, it's legal, so therefore you should be able to walk down the street like smoking a cigarette. Well, so is alcohol, but you can't walk down the street drunk. And you can't walk down the street with open containers. You can't have them in your car. So why do drug users and marijuana smokers get to do that? If you want consistency, people, and you want this in place, you got to take the consequences, which means you don't get to walk down the street with marijuana, and that's the deal. You're going to have to take what's coming at you. It's not a blanket sort of free-for-all, no more than it is for alcohol. And so I think there's a lot of recognition among the real staunch supporters of this that these laws aren't going to affect them, whether they like it or not, for the safety of the community. And they're going to be tough because now the legislature states are trying to deal with this, trying to keep our streets safe. The issue about whether you can smoke on your own property. Now, that is, I think we got a problem there. You can drink alcohol on your front porch. You can drink it in your backyard at a barbecue. You can smoke cigarettes. And often you can go to a bar and smoke on a patio, and it still comes into the bar. So I understand that I am very concerned about is government getting now into getting so big with such oversight that now we're getting into our own private property, and that I do think is a real problem.
Mm-hmm.
So I know this show wasn't supposed to be focused on the old marijuana, but
no.
It's big, and I think people need to recognize that this is happening, and these are the debates that are going on, and the changes are coming. And whether if you're a big supporter of having this in our Constitution, you better look out because the laws that may affect you directly are here, which means you don't get to smoke a bowl and get in your car and drive down my street.
Right.
But if you do, you need to know what your rights are. And, we as lawyers, as criminal defense attorneys, are not here to judge our clients. Regardless of what my personal politics are, the reality is if the law is the law, then you know what? Cops have to follow the law. And it is going to be no different for defense purposes. If you're drinking and driving and the cop didn't do their job, or if you broke in somewhere or whatever you did, the same is going to apply to whether you smoke pot. Look, we as people don't necessarily encourage, I don't encourage people to break into other people's houses and steal their stuff.
Sure.
Okay, look, come on. Okay, that's not, but I do support the Constitution, and so I support the law. And so regardless of what comes down, the law has to be respected, and that's my job, is to make sure that even if you are smoking pot and driving, that you've got qualified attorneys, like with my office, where we know this information, we know what the requirements are to be drug recognition experts. The new law is changing. We're up to speed on it, and that's why you got to have a lawyer. Regardless of personal opinions, there's not an attorney out there who believes that murder's okay, but we still will represent you if you did it,
Right.
because you're entitled to a due process.
Our guest
Make
is,
sense?
yes, ma'am. Our guest is Molly Jansen. Her website, jansenlegal.com. Her phone number, 303-832-5400, 303-832-5400. Put that number in your phone. Molly, we're going to take a real short break, and we'll be back with more with Molly Jansen right after this.
The number one concern for baby boomers today is financial security. Hi, I'm Dot Mecklenburg. I'm a financial advisor with 43 years of experience and have become the trusted resource for people planning retirement transitions. I want to see that you have enough money to enjoy the lifestyle you love for the rest of your life. For a free consultation, call me today at 303-647-1948. That's 303-647-1948. Or visit us at dotmecklenburg.com. That's DotMechtenberg.com.
Dot Mecklenburg Financial Services is an official company of Haystack Help and an A-plus member of the Better Business Bureau. Securities and advisory services offered through Genios Wealth Management, Inc., member FINRA SIPC.
What could you do with an extra $500, $1,000, or even $1,500 per month? How would that change things for you? Would you buy a new car, pay off bills, or just feel a bit more secure about your retirement? What if I told you there's a way to make your dreams a reality? I'm talking about trading and investing in the market. Now, before you say, oh, that's not for me, just hear me out. I want to invite you to a half-day trading course so you can check this out. I promise you, you'll go away smarter than when you came in. We here at Online Trading Academy sponsor this, and we'll even send you home with a free home study video guide. Your money's doing nothing for you in a CD or mutual fund. Learn how to profit when the market's up or down. Call us now while seats are still available at 303-325-2776. Use offer code radio50. 303-325-2776. That's 303-325-2776.
Hi, I'm bankruptcy attorney Benjamin Yablon, author of The Bankruptcy Guide. If you're overwhelmed by debt, you need to call me today. My direct line is 303-562-3167. Come in today for a free consultation, and your copy of The Bankruptcy Guide is free as well. Once again, 303-562-3167. Or visit my website at yablonlaw.com. That's Y-A-B as in boy, L-O-N as in Nick, and the word law.com. I'm attorney Benjamin Yablon.
Have you heard about Len Lyle Chevrolet's 2013 Closeout Triple Play? Right now, you get a guaranteed lowest price, guaranteed highest trade-in value, and the lowest interest rates from over 75 lending institutions. Len Lyle Chevrolet, I-225 in East Colfax, or on the web at lenlylechevy.com.
Where America's news breaks. America's Morning News, 4 to 7 on KLZ 560, The Source.
Welcome back to Haystack Help Radio.
That wasn't long enough. I thought we had an agreement.
I know. I was waiting for you to go, wait.
Wait for it. Because here's the thing. Today's kind of a heavy topic, right? And people are like screaming. Either they're totally high-fiving me in their cars and at their offices, and they're like, yeah, what she said. Or they're all cursing my name as we go through this debate.
Either way, you're in their thoughts, yeah.
Either way, they want a little break, right? From the heavy-duty debate. And then, so we give them a little tunage, to feel like, okay, there it is. And then you can't even give them 5 bars of music. Not even
I know, but I know you have to go at 4:45, so I'm trying to get a lot of information in here.
Fast talker. Come on. I'm ready to go. Okay, so here's the other thing. So, that all being said, I don't want to beat a dead horse here, but please do, for everyone that's interested, look on if you're not already on my Jansen Legal PC Facebook, go at least check it out, because I will be posting as information comes out and what the vote is on this, because I know a lot of people are super interested. And when you go, and this is not just a plug for my Facebook, although it kind of is, but it's Jansen Legal, all one word, PC, and if you don't put it in just like that, you're not going to find me. So anyway, so there's that. The other thing I want to put out there is 'tis the season. And I know, Scott, you just sit there. You're like, why am I here?
No, I'm just going to tell you when it's time to go to break. Go ahead.
Okay, good. Okay, so so basically, for anybody that knows me, I'm a big yogi outside of my law practice, because obviously I need some balance with what I do. And so one of the great things that I think people can do in this time, other than listen to all of these heavy-duty, drinking and driving and domestic violence and all this stuff that we usually talk about, is I created a website. Actually, my kids created the idea, and it's a page. It's called 25 Acts of Kindness. And we have shot it out in the community, and we already have over 700 likes from people here in Colorado. What it is the commitment. It's not a business. This is just a good karma out in the universe. The commitment to 25 random acts for 25 days as your baby step into the community. And people are posting ideas. We're not posting on there what we've done to make ourselves feel better. Otherwise, karma would shoot us down. Because it kind of defeats the purpose. But what it is kind of an idea of things if you want to jumpstart a way to give back and sort of ignite that kindness in you is 25 random acts for 25 days, and on the 26th day, you start again. So it's not just between the holidays. We've got Hanukkah, we just had Thanksgiving, Christmas, Kwanzaa, all these different things that are going on. But it's a really cool way. A lot of people have dialed in and sort of pay it forward. So if you guys are interested in that and sort of kind of feeling of community, especially with all this other stuff happening. There's catastrophic events happening in Colorado all the time. You've looked at the news. Maybe this is a way for the community to really band together in a really cool way. So I just want to throw that out there as we then launch into don't drink and drive, don't burn and drive, and all the other things that are happening. So there's that. There's my plug for good community awareness.
All right.
Yay. Okay.
Well, that sounds great.
Now let's get down and dirty. What are your questions?
Okay.
Ask me.
Now, you give a free consultation. I want to get that out there.
Yes.
So what can people expect? What are questions? I want to try to give them insight a little bit to what a consultation is like with you if they haven't figured that already out in the first 21 minutes of today's show.
Yeah.
Well, what are the questions that you ask the client? And again, we'll talk about a DUI here.
Okay. So in any case, and a DUI is a good place to start, but really there are a couple things that we're going to want to know pretty quickly out of the gate. I usually have people call me, and I appreciate you all being worried about my time, but you are interviewing me as much as I'm interviewing you. So if you have an attorney who right out of the gate is like, give me the brass tacks, give me just the facts, hurry up, you probably don't want to continue on that front. You want to be able to feel calm.
Mm-hmm.
And be able to give your version, have your moment, but you're going to be interrogated by a good attorney. And, we're going to ask you a lot of questions. So when you pick up the phone, I do consultations by phone or in person, depending upon what you want to do. It doesn't matter to me. Most people choose phone because they're at work and they're hiding in a stairwell somewhere, and they don't have to take off time. But you're going to want to know, okay, what county or municipal city are you being charged in? When is your next court date? Whether you have posted a bond, whether you just have a ticket, we call that being on summons. You're going to want to know the charges against you. So just saying to me, I'm charged with felony menacing and some other stuff is not necessarily helpful. I'd like to know what the other stuff is. Or if I'm charged with DUI, there's usually a sprinkling of traffic offenses on top of that. It'd be helpful if you know what those are. So we're going to ask some of those pretty basic questions. We're going to ask what your criminal history is. We mean criminal history. We don't mean in the last few years. We find everything. That's our job.
Right.
So is it for the DA's office, FYI. So anything, even as a juvenile, anything that's been expunged or sealed, any criminal conviction or something you got out of, we want to know what it is. Any prior DUIs or DWIs. That is super important because this state has very specific laws on whether you do jail time and how much you do if it's a second or third or more offense. So hiding that from us, number one, we're displeased because our fees changed with the more priors you have, obviously, because your case becomes more complicated and you're looking at much more severe consequences. But probation finds it and so does the DA. So hiding it, now the judge thinks you're a big fat liar. Your attorney thinks you're a big fat liar. So it's best to just disclose that when we ask you.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's a big one. And then, your traffic, your motor vehicle record. And that depends on what kind of case you're calling in on. I'm obviously not going to care so much about whether you had a speeding ticket if you're being charged with burglary. So, it's not probably, unless you're also charged with eluding as you're in the getaway car. But ultimately, we're going to want to know that information, and we need you to be very forthcoming about it. Because remember this, when you have a consultation with an attorney, whether it be by phone, via email, we don't do that, but if you ask a question via email or in the office, it's confidential, right, which means that an attorney-client privilege attaches, which means anything you say to that attorney cannot be disclosed. And if we disclose it, we lose our license. I mean, it's that serious.
Right.
So often people will come in and confess to all sorts of things that are completely not related to the legal offense. I've heard everything from them having an affair to you name it.
Right.
I've heard it. But we try to focus there on the old criminal offense. And then we're going to ask you very specific things. Tell us what happened. We're really going to interrogate you, and we're going to only ask questions that we essentially want the answers to. So be very careful. If you're listening right now and you're getting ready and you're saying, okay, I'm going to call this attorney and I'm going to go and get my consultation, if I don't ask you a question and you want to tell me, there's a reason I'm not asking. It doesn't make me an idiot. It makes me smarter than the attorney who asked you the question like this. Did you do it? Okay? Unless you bust that out right away, we don't want to know your guilt or innocence necessarily because we don't know if you're going to end up testifying in a hearing at the Department of Motor Vehicles or in court.
Right.
Because if you tell us something and then you testify and you lie, your lawyer has to stand up and say, my client perjured themselves. And now you've paid an attorney, you're likely not going to get a refund, and they're going to withdraw, and you're going to stand in front of the court as a big fat liar.
Has that ever happened to you?
I have been faced with that scenario once.
Wow.
So if we don't ask you a question, please don't give it up.
Right.
And when you give information like, here's usually what happens. Hi, oh my gosh, got a DUI last night, and I got pulled over for weaving, often called failing to drive in a single lane. I had 6 beers and 4 shots, and then I drove, and then I told the cop what I drank or not, okay? And then I did some roadsides, and then I volunteered that I had pot in the car, and I maybe had some non-prescription medication that, oops, I shouldn't have, and I just gave it to him to be cooperative, and then, I did a test, and I'm already now stuck with you just told me you had how many drinks, and what if my defense is that the signs of intoxication that are written in the police report don't match that this person was drunk, right?
Right.
So now I've got a defense that says maybe this cop didn't do their job, and now I'm going to have an issue of, okay, well, my client is the only one that can decide whether they testify or not, and now they're going to say they had 6 drinks and 4 shots. So, and if they lie, I know they're lying. So be very careful about that one piece of information that says I'm big fat guilty. Right? If we want to know that, we're going to ask you. We're going to say, okay, let's talk about whether you're going to testify. You're really far in the game as, what you probably made a decision about going to trial. We're going to talk very specifically about, okay, in order for me to have a valid and a defense that's going to make sense for this jury, and let's talk about whether you're going to testify. And if the client says I'm not going to testify, then I'm probably going to ask the question. Okay, now give it to me down and dirty so that I can really go after this defense, knowing what I need to skirt, what I need to sort of circumvent or hide. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
As a strategy. So that's really important in a consultation. You're going to want to do your research. You're going to want to find out. Okay, go to places like Haystack where they've done background checks. You like with Haystack, they do Better Business Bureau. They look at all of that, so you know if there's any Supreme Court filings, disciplinary actions. What the ratings are. Avo.com does the same thing. Look at who you're talking to and look at their website because you can tell who paid a company to do their website, and they don't really care as long as they've got a site up versus the person who took the time to say, here's who I am, this is what my law firm does, this is why we do it, and here's the information that's useful to you. And that's going to help you sort of get through beating down. And if the website looks terrible, guess what? Your attorney's probably not very good because if they don't have the time to put together a nice-looking professional website, what in the world do you think their office looks like?
Yeah, no, that's true. You're right.
And where do you think your file is in that office? I bet it's somebody who's like, well, I've got files and I know where everything is. You got to look for that stuff. And referrals. If someone refers you to an attorney, they probably had a good experience, and that's something that you really need to listen to. Or if a bad experience, I always tell people, if you have a referral one way or the other, you probably should call it. Even if you get a bad referral. Like if someone says to me, don't go to this particular auto body shop, I kind of wonder why they're saying that. So I'll say, okay, well, what went wrong there, right?
Right.
And then I kind of want to feel it out just in case, because what if it was that they didn't pay their bill?
Yeah,
and
that happens, yeah.
And guess what? And they happen to be the best person in town, and that's happened to me. I've gone to an auto body shop that was not recommended to me, and sure enough, it came down to the fact that they didn't pay their bill. And so that doesn't make it a bad auto body shop, and in fact, they're one of the best. So same thing with lawyers. People will say, I had a bad experience. Ask specifics. You know, if they're really not calling you back and you really have no idea what's going on, that's a bad attorney. If it's, you know, they didn't call you back within a week one time, does that make them a bad lawyer? Probably not. You know what I'm saying? So, you know, you really got to, I think, look at those referrals as well.
Right.
So
now, let me ask you one quick question. Do you get in the interview, do you get into asking what the officer may have said to them and what they may have said to the officer?
I ask all of that because it's going to end up in the police report. So I will say, what did the officer say to you? And they'll say, oh, you know, they asked me to do roadsides and stuff. Well, what does and stop? I want specifics. What exactly did that officer say to you? How did they say it? Where were they standing? Did they have their gun drawn? Were there two officers? Where were the officers standing? Did they give you your right to remain silent so I can figure out if they needed that to happen? Because remember, Miranda rights people do not cover you because you're in custody. They only cover what you say. If an officer is going to interrogate you to elicit incriminating statements, meaning bad statements, confession-type stuff, and you are in custody. And custody also does not mean you are sitting in the back of a police car or in a cell. It means that you are not, a reasonable person would not feel free to leave. So if you're cornered in a parking lot by 70,000 cops, I'm going to probably argue you're in custody, right?
Right.
Because if you run, you're probably going to get shot. So, you know, those are the things that we're going to ask. And then specifically, what did you say? And don't summarize. Repeat it to me unless you were too inebriated to remember, or unless you were in an accident, or whatever the case may be. You know, my drug clients sometimes are pretty high and they don't remember what the responses were. Never guess what you said or what they said. If you don't remember a fact, say, I don't remember, don't fill it in, because we are going to, you know, we don't want to sort of create an idea of what happened out there. We want to see what they wrote, what the discovery and evidence says, and then go after it from that direction. So we're going to be pretty specific.
Okay. All right, Molly, we've got to take one last quick short break, and we'll be back with more with Molly Jansen right after this. Molly's number 303-832-5400.
What's the most common problem for golfers? It's the slice. If you want to get rid of your slice, you need No Slice. No Slice was tested by Golf Laboratories, a facility that conducts robotic testing for the golf industry, and the results were amazing. No Slice will eliminate your slice and increase your distance, guaranteed, or your money back. Simply apply No Slice to your golf club for longer, straighter shots and no more lost golf balls. Enjoy golf again. For more information or to purchase No Slice, go to NoSlicegolf.com. That's NoSliceGolf.com.
People make mistakes. We can help. At Jansen Legal, we strongly believe that a good criminal defense engages you as an active team member in your own defense. We understand you are the most vested person in your pending criminal matter, and you will never be treated as a criminal despite what you are being charged with. Don't risk your future and your freedom by facing a criminal charge alone. Call me, Molly Jansen, for a free consultation at 303-832-5400.
Shouldn't a home comfort system make you completely comfortable? At Carrier, our expert dealers are the trusted source for everything you need for home heating and cooling. When you decide to repair or upgrade your home comfort system, your local Carrier dealer can advise you on your air conditioning, heating, and indoor air quality needs. From maintenance to repair to installation, going with a Carrier expert is a decision you'll always take comfort in.
Littleton Heating, Air Conditioning, and Duct Cleaning, 303-798-3880, Denver Metro, HVAC.com.
You strive for success every day. Take the time now before tragedy strikes and you can't protect your kids. Ensure they have the guidance they deserve.
I'm Attorney Bonnie, and our passion is to make sure parents don't leave it up to a judge who doesn't know your family to decide who raises your children. Without a plan, it could be a nightmare.
I checked out willsandwellness.com, a different kind of law firm. Personal family lawyer Bonnie Bowles helped me design a plan so my daughter would always be cared for by someone I want. Bonnie at willsandwellness.com made the process approachable and welcoming. Check it out, willsandwellness.com.
I'll never forget that moment.
Never forget that moment.
As long as I live.
As long as I live.
It started with a phone call.
I got the text when I was at work.
My first call-up ever as a member of the National Guard. This was it, the real deal.
When we got to the armory, they briefed us on the wildfires, how they were getting dangerously close to homes.
It was amazing to be a part of this massive operation. Helicopters were going up with huge buckets to drop water on the fires. Some of the guys in the unit were preparing for firefighting with local fire crews.
We went out in Humvees to help with the evacuations.
At that moment, I got my first taste of just how important the Guard is to my community.
See how the Guard can be an important part of your life at NationalGuard.com. Discover what it means to be a citizen soldier, to serve locally as well as globally. Look into the benefits, including career skills and money for college. Take a moment. Go to NationalGuard.com today.
Sponsored by the Colorado National Guard. Aired by the Colorado Broadcasters Association and this station.
There you go.
Welcome back. Welcome back to the Molly Jansen Show. My name is Scott Watley, and just visiting with Molly every other word I can get in here today.
Yeah.
You're on a roll, Molly.
Well, here's the thing. I'm here to give information, and that's one thing I also wanted to piggyback before you cut me off and put me on an ad. Is that I give a lot of information in my consultations. So when you call me, get a pen and paper out. Mm-hmm. I am not going to hide the ball and only give you half information so that you feel freaked out and compelled to hire me right then and there. I am going to give you everything. I'm going to go through Department of Motor Vehicle, court, the whole thing, so that you can make educated decisions as you continue to talk to attorneys. Because some of them won't give you any information, and they won't ask you any questions. Why you'd hire them? I don't know. I wouldn't do that. I've had to hire civil attorneys for my lovely Mercedes, and I'll tell you, you got to nail it down and know what you want. And understand that you're getting information that's helpful. And so be careful, especially if you call me. I'm going to load you up.
Right. Well, no, and again, that's why we always go back to dealing with an attorney that, and I don't think you guys can use this term, so I'll use it, that really specializes in that area. Because I don't want you asking, like we've teased about before, but I don't want you asking directions, which way you go down the hallway to what court or who you're supposed to talk to next, I mean, I want the real deal like you.
Right. Yeah, no, that's not impressive. Your attorney has no idea where they are.
Now,
that's not it. That's just not okay.
Right. What are some of the requirements, Molly, that must be followed for chemical and a roadside test to be valid?
Oh, my gosh. I got to tell you, I cannot answer those questions in short order.
Okay.
First and foremost, officers in the state of Colorado for standardized field sobriety tests for drugs or for drug recognition experts for drugs, obviously. There's a requirement that you're certified every 2 years and that you're certified usually through the National Highway Safety Traffic Administration, which we call NHTSA. Mm-hmm. That training and certification, of which I have and I've gone through, requires very specific things to be followed. There are specific questions that must be asked. There are certain tests that must be given in order, hence standardized. There are specific instructions, demonstrations that need to take place in order for any of those roadsides to be valid, okay?
Okay.
So a cop veering from their training because they've been a cop for 18,000 years is not an excuse. They have to follow, again, the operative word would be standardized, not experienced-ized or whatever. It's standardized.
Right.
So that is the first thing. Secondly, the Colorado Department of Health has set up rules and regulations regarding proper chemical testing of breath, blood, urine, or saliva. And those tests either for DUI, DWAI, driving under the influence of drugs, alcohol, vehicular homicide, anything relating to criminal any kind of forensic chemical testing, that is laid out very specifically in the rules and regulations. More importantly, if anybody has followed recently that the Colorado Department of Health has permanently been shut down for chemical testing, for forensic chemical testing, they didn't follow those rules and regulations, and defendants, had tests that were not accurate. And some of those people pled guilty to cases in which they should not have, because the department didn't follow their own rules and regs, and they skirted the system to get more convictions, and it was a bad situation. So that I could probably have 3 or 4 shows on just alone on chemical testing and what rules and regs must be followed.
Okay.
Understand that when you get into a DUI, whether you put the D on the end for drugs or alcohol, okay, or vehicular assault or vehicular homicide due to alcohol or drugs, okay, they are the most complicated area, okay, generally speaking, unless you're in DNA and like true ballistics, murder cases, attempted murder where you're dealing with blood and all that kind of stuff. They are very complicated because of that chemical testing and because of the two processes that happen. One is court and one is the division of the Department of Motor Vehicles. So to not have a lawyer in the most technical area is stupid. And that's all I'm going to say.
Okay.
That's how many people win their cases. I just had a case where there was a DUI checkpoint in Arapahoe County, and my client was a part of that, and it was there were issues with it. We went to a motions hearing, and we won, and this case was dismissed. And for all of you yelling at me that I got another criminal off, guess what? They didn't do their job. And the district attorney's office didn't necessarily do their job. And so the process was followed in due process, and the result for that client was correct. Cops don't do their job. The DA's office doesn't follow through. You don't get the conviction one, right?
Right.
So you need to know that to go into this without an attorney is just plain dumb.
All right. I know you got to go in a couple of minutes, but let me ask you a couple more.
I got a few more. Yeah, go for it.
When do you advise a client that you want to take this to a jury trial?
So it's dependent upon a couple of things. One is whether they took a test, and that's a factor. Whether they've got a defense for something like they weren't in the car or in physical control. There are what we call no-drive defenses, where even if they took a test, it's not going to matter. It's not going to affect their test or their defense. Whether they have refused a chemical test, whether they have prior offenses, whether the cop testified at DMV and what they said. There are a lot of factors that go into the determination of whether a case should go to trial, but ultimately it's always the defendant client's decision. They get 2 decisions. 1, do they want to testify or remain silent? And 2, do they want to go to trial and take a plea agreement? The factors that go into whether a case goes to trial, I can tell you a lot. There's a pretty constant theme in my office, which is, if you didn't take a chemical test and the facts are just right, for you, oftentimes those cases in my office do go to trial because in a lot of the circumstances, there's no legal difference between whether they plead or whether they go to trial and get convicted. So that's another factor is what's the consequence? Even if you go to trial and go down in flames, is that any different than if you took the plea agreement based on the history of their criminal history or whatever else they have going on? So there's a lot that goes into that. And the expertise of the attorney and the experience. How many trials have they tried? How many cases of these have they done? Do they know what they're doing? Why would they recommend this? Do I understand the pros and cons? Do I know the possible penalties? That all needs to go into it. So hiring an attorney who's tried one case or 2 cases in 3 years is a criminal defense attorney. That's not good. They should be a trial way more often than that.
And then I guess you could go through that same thought process of when to plea bargain or not.
That's correct. And again, looking at what is the best scenario for this client, given all of their pieces and parts, if you will, and what do they want? What is their goal? I have clients who go to trial. Well, we know we're going to lose, but they want their day in court. And if they're going to get convicted, they're going to make the state work for it because it's their burden to prove their guilt beyond a reasonable doubt. So, at the end of the day, it's my job to serve up the absolute best favorable plea agreement that I can get and or take them to trial. But at the end of the day, it's their decision of what they decide to do.
Okay. Well, I know you said you had to go, so I'll let you go.
Okay.
And then I'm going to go over. Go ahead.
Yeah, go. No, just go for it. You're going to say what I'm going to say. Go.
No, I'm saying I'm going to go over a few more things that I'd kind of sent you today that we just didn't have time to go over. But again, I want to give out Molly's information. JansenLegal.com, 303-832-5400, 303-832-5400. And as Molly starts usually every show and ends every show, a way to stay out of all this mess?
Yeah.
Don't drink and drive.
So I'm going to say it again so you hear it from my mouth. Don't drink and drive. Don't drive based on how you feel. Stay off the internet. Do not use those stupid calculators of what you can drink and how many hours they don't work. Don't drink and drive at all. Use a service. Use Uber. Call a cab. Call a friend. I recently had my mom drop me off at a restaurant bar for a Bronco game. Just do it. In addition, you can't do prescription medications. You can't smoke pot. You cannot do drugs and drive either. And tis the season, you guys. There's parties everywhere. Everything is sort of, kind of in your face and at a height right now. The other thing is domestic violence is on the rise. So please, please, please take 10 and try again. If you have a tendency to have anger management issues, especially in a volatile relationship, please don't drink around each other. Don't do drugs around each other. Walk away, get away, and stay out of that scenario. And for everyone else, this is also the time to have your wallet stolen. Your car is broken into. iPhones are being yanked. There was another thing on the news about that today. Mm-hmm. So as you're at the grocery store, don't leave your purses. Make sure you keep your belongings out of your cars. Be safe. Close your garage doors. Make sure your houses are locked, especially with Christmas presents, holiday presents. Be on, just be on heightened alert. Be smart. Use your common sense. And if you get in trouble, you're not judged at my firm, but you need legal representation. You need to know it straight up, straightforward, and fast. So, you can give me a call, but also go to my Facebook, Jansen Legal, PC, and I will also keep you up to date on what's happening with this final vote that's coming down tonight. And be safe out there.
That's the star of the show, Molly Jansen, 303-832-5400. We'll be back with more right after this.
Early retirement, changing jobs. Hi, I'm Dot Mecklenburg, president of Dot Mecklenburg, Inc. Section 72T of the IRS Code says as long as you take substantially equal payments from your IRA for 5 years or until age 59 and a half, whichever is greater, you will not be penalized 10% for early withdrawal. For a free consultation, call me today at 303-647-1948 or visit me at my website, dotmecklenburg.com.
Dot Mecklenburg Financial Services is an official company of Haystack Help and an A-plus member of the Better Business Bureau. Securities and advisory services offered through Genios Wealth Management, Inc., member FINRA, SIPC.
Are you paying for broken windows after every round of golf? Are you always yelling 4 to the fairway next to yours? Are you searching in the woods hole after hole? Do you continue to lose every ball in your bag? Do you turn a 4-hour round into 5.5 hours? If you're that guy, or you invited that guy to play with you, you need No Slice. Just put No Slice on your golf club and it will eliminate your slice, guaranteed, or your money back. Enjoy golf again. For more information or to purchase No Slice, go to noslicegolf.com. That's noslicegolf.com.
Are you struggling to make your mortgage payments? Have you been turned down for a traditional mortgage refinance? You're not alone. Hi, this is Julie from the Haven team. My team and I have helped thousands of struggling homeowners stay in their home by providing free loan modification help. If you need help with a loan modification, please call us to schedule your free personal consultation at 720-295-HOPE. That's 720-295-4673. At the Haven team, our homeowner is our #1 priority.
It's closeout time here at Lynn Lyle Chevrolet, and if you give us a chance, you won't be sorry. We have the guaranteed lowest prices, highest trade-in values, and the quickest and easiest buying experience ever. Go east and pay the least. Lynn Lyle Chevrolet, I-225 in East Colfax, or LynnLyleChevy.com.
There are many sounds in your daily life. Ones that make you smile. Ones that help you relax. And there are some sounds that can help save lives. Wireless emergency alerts, now on many mobile devices, use a unique sound and vibration to bring you critical information about emergencies in your area. With updates from local sources you know and trust, you can be in the know wherever you are. Learn more at ready.gov/alerts. Brought to you by FEMA and the Ad Council.
Grassroots Radio Colorado is coming up at 5 on KLZ 560, The Source.
Welcome back to Haystack Help Radio. I know if Molly is in her car listening, she's saying I didn't give that break long enough. But Molly had to go, but I'm going to finish up a few other thoughts for Molly. And again, this is Haystack Help Radio, and our guest was Molly Jansen, jansenlegal.com. Molly's number, 303-832-5400. But a few things I was kind of preparing for the show today, and just want to go over a few facts because, this is a time when a ton of DUIs are handed out and a ton of accidents happen. And one person is killed every half hour due to drunk driving. And man, when you stop and think about those numbers, how many lives are affected because you decided you were okay to drive. Each year, approximately 16,000 are killed in alcohol-related crashes. Alcohol is a factor in almost half of all traffic fatalities. This is another one. Every other minute, a person is seriously injured in an alcohol-related crash. So when you stop and think about that, I just jotted down a few thoughts to finish up for Molly, again, because she had to go. But, this is a time we're all on the roads, and with it getting darker sooner now, it's kind of easier to spot people maybe weaving. But, if you spot what you feel as a drunk driver on the road, dial the local highway patrol or police department. Get the license number if you can, safely. I'll add that safely. Don't be chasing them down the road trying to get that. So be safe yourself. And let the authorities know that you suspect a drunk driver. And you can give your location. And it's worth a few minutes of your time to possibly save a life and of that person or someone else that they may be involved in an accident with. And really stop and think about the risk of drinking and driving. And I know Molly, if she were able to stay with us through the rest of the show, that she would agree with this. But, the minute you put those keys in ignition, you're putting yourself at risk as well as others that may cross your path. So just stop and think, is this worth it? And the answer is no. There's too many ways to get around today with cabs, and I know Molly promotes the company, I believe it's called Uber, that can pick you up and drop you off. And as she said, she had her mom drop her off at a place to watch a Bronco game. So it's all about planning ahead. And when you stop and think about, of course, drunk driving, who suffers? It can lead to a lot of other crimes, too. Too often, drunk driving inevitably leads to crimes like vehicular manslaughter. For those arrested for drunk driving in and of itself, many would say that it's a fairly victimless crime because it was just them driving. But rarely does that decision affect just the driver that's been drinking. So really stop and think about it here as we're getting over the holidays, all the Christmas parties. And this is a statistic, too, that I ran across that, young legal drinkers, ages 21 to 34, are responsible for more alcohol-related fatal crashes than any other age group. And usually when you get people in that age group, they get a lot of people in the car, and everybody thinks, oh, well, this person's going to be okay to drive. Don't do that. So I'll say that to young people. Don't get in a car with anyone that you feel has been drinking. It's not going to be worth it. So just be very, very careful here over the holidays. A few mistakes that you can make after being arrested and released for a DUI in Colorado, and then we'll end up with this, but, not taking the matter seriously. And in talking to Molly over the years that we've known her, you got to understand, this is a charge that will follow you for the rest of your life if you're convicted. And the Motor Vehicle Division will keep track of it until really you die. So they can take your license away. It's going to change your life and inevitably probably change the life of someone else because you made that decision. Another mistake, not hiring an attorney. And we've talked about this. We're all in this self-help world, do-it-yourself kind of thing. This is not one of those things you want to handle on yourself and put on yourself because as you hear Molly talking, there is a lot involved in a DUI arrest, and you've got to have someone, again, I'll say, that specializes in what you're being convicted of. And that's what at Jansen Legal and Molly handles, anything and everything to do with this. So you've got to have someone and you see ads, you'll see billboards. Don't hire an attorney just on the fee alone of what they're charging. You got to understand the state has almost unlimited resources when it comes to your case. So you need to hire an attorney and pay a fee, which will allow him or her to put the time and effort into your case to encounter the prosecution. And I say encounter because that's what they're going to be doing. But someone like Molly, as she said, and as you heard her say, she will sit down with you free of charge and go through your case. So her free consultation will absolutely put you in the best position that you could ever be in. And, if you want to go interview a few attorneys, go interview a few. But, again, Molly's been with us a number of years, and, I've used her for some different things. I want to make 100% clear, never a DUI, but mainly like speeding type tickets and things. But I've sent people to her that have used her for a lot of different things. We actually had some friends where a death was involved in a van accident, and she was able to help them. So she can handle anything from speeding tickets, citation, traffic deal, to the easiest thing, all the way to homicide, as she's mentioned before. And another mistake you can make is driving after your license has been revoked. You can't do that. All right? You have no right to drive after revocation, and driving then is more serious offense than your original charge. So be very careful with that. Another mistake is, probably, and again, you got to listen to an attorney like Molly, but taking the district attorney's first offer. The first offer is not a bargain in most cases. So you've got to listen to your attorney. Any failure to appear in court is very, very important. And talk to anyone but an attorney about your case. Anything you say to them can be used against you. When you discussed your arrest with friends or family, you risk turning them into involuntary witness against you. So it's at your best interest to remember the details of your arrest. It will help you in your defense in any criminal case. You must be represented by a competent defense lawyer, which in our opinion is Molly Jansen with Jansen Legal. So I hope you'll take all the things that Molly said. Again, we've got all the drinking and marijuana thing and DUI, but just be careful. We don't want anyone to get into an accident. And the main thing I want you to take away from today's show is it's not worth it to drink and drive. So, Molly, thank you. Molly Jansen, JansenLegal.com, 303-832-5400, 303-832-5400. This is Haystack Help Radio.